As we know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Summoning mechanics and archetypes haven't always been the best. Whether it's balancing the mechanic or creating a complete flop to begin with, we've seen our fair share of experiments in the game. Today I'd like to take a look at some of these unique mechanics and archetypes and discuss how Konami is actively trying to make them better. The first mechanic I want to take a look at is Ritual Summoning and Ritual Monsters. Say whatever you want about Ritual Summoning, but we can all agree that it hasn't always been great. The main issue with the mechanic was simply the amount of resources required to successfully ritual summon. A ritual spell, a ritual monster, and enough materials to summon it. That is at least 3 cards, which is a lot for modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Of course. That being said, the moment Konami realized that ritual archetypes need a little stronger support, things started to click a lot more. From preparation of rites and incantation cards, which are more generic support for every ritual archetype, to modern ritual decks like Voiceless Voice and Mitsurugi for example, we've seen how powerful the mechanic can be when we have more flexible ways to summon these ritual monsters and easier access to them. And honestly speaking, Konami did an incredible job figuring out how to make the mechanic work. The second mechanic on this list is gonna be Pendulum Summoning. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think that pendulums are completely okay. However, we have seen some new interesting uses for these cards that make them a little bit better in my opinion and more efficient. And I'm not gonna talk about the master rule because that's something that everybody is aware of by now. I would more so like to discuss what pendulums can do outside of their main mechanic. Let's take a look at Valmonicas for example. Here, the pendulum monsters aren't actually meant to pendulum summon as much as benefiting from them being in the zones. They're kinda like continuous spells that give you benefits and make your life easier. Another example can be Nemleria or Yu-Gi-Oh! Where the pendulum effect is more so focused on improving consistency and enabling plays rather than playing like 30 monsters so you can pendulum summon them. And I think this is a better way to design the mechanic because when you look at strictly pendulum decks, the main idea is to just summon a whole bunch of monsters and you fill your deck with a bunch of pendulum monsters, which is not very efficient, and whether it's gonna be not playing enough small engines or not playing enough hand traps, the power level of the deck never quite reaches the top. And on the third spot, we have my personal favorite unique mechanic, which is Trap Monsters. Obviously, if you've watched Yu-Gi-Oh! You probably liked Odeon and his archetype. Now with the new Odeon support, we see a breath of fresh air for the mechanic. I think that the biggest issue with Trap Monsters is the fact that they're too slow, you don't really need the body that badly, and the effects are oftentimes lackluster. It's only when stuff like Silhouette Rabbit and Angel Statue came to exist that we actually started to see the potential there. Having good disruption based effects like a regular trap and benefiting from having a body on the field as well now sounds a lot better. Combined with some of the generic Trap Monster support, we can utilize the bodies even better. Of course, being a trap based deck, there's still gonna be the issue of going second, even though you can cheat some of your trap cards and activate them during the turn they're set, but I just like the way they approach the whole Trap Monsters mechanic. Next up, I wanna have a hot take here and talk a little bit about floodgates. So of course everybody hates floodgates and no one wants to see them, but if you look at any other card game, you know that there are certain archetypes that are more control based, and in Yu-Gi-Oh! We really don't have that because the main way to control is with floodgates, which is toxic. I don't think we've solved the main problem of them being toxic, but I happen to notice something that might indicate a potential change. The Mimigo archetype is a great example for that with its Mimigo Dungeon. This card has an interesting floodgate built-in effect that can be pretty annoying but also played around a little bit. I think this is a healthy control floodgate style effect because you need to meet the requirement to enable it, and it's not as broken as just activating a trap card and your opponent can play the game. You can still summon, you can still deal with it, and your opponent actually needs to set it up well enough so it works efficiently. It's not just activating one card, and I think this is a way healthier way to design floodgates and control based decks, and I hope they continue to move in that direction and make them a little more balanced and better. Speaking of Mimigo, the final mechanic I want to discuss here is gonna be Flip Monsters. Now this is essentially another way of controlling the game and playing a slower matchup where the flip effect is supposed to be better than on summon for example because it's harder to trigger. That being said, the flip archetypes most of the time just flop. Needing more than one card to just utilize a flip effect either during your turn or during your opponent's turn is very annoying, and not having on summon effect makes it way less flexible in its use. But now that we have the Mimigo archetype, we can see how the flip mechanic can be improved a lot. Having quote-unquote more broken effects for flipping that give you more advantage, and also having on summon effects if you choose to use them makes every card so much more efficient. And we're finally able to even see one card combos for a flip based deck, which is absolutely incredible. The direction Konami is taking with Flip Monsters, whether it's gonna be like Mimigo with more flexible options in terms of effects or Prediction Princess allowing you to flip whenever you'd like as a quick effect, makes things infinitely better, and I really hope they continue to design them this way. But anyways, those are my 5 takes on some of the more unique mechanics in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you have any hot takes as well, let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Check out more must-do content, and yeah, see ya!